So the next one is identify two obtuse vertical angles. And so we're looking at this figure over here. We know that vertical angles are created with two intersecting lines like that. And we have our vertical angles, right? But in this case, they want two obtuse vertical angles. So we're looking at our figure, and the two lines would be this one here and this one here. Those are the only two intersecting lines, right? So we're looking at our angles. We have this possibility of these two, or these two here, but we need them to be obtuse. So the obtuse angles are going to be R and T and S and U, right? The other ones are acute. So I'm going to go ahead and say angle R and T and angle S and U. The next one is identify two acute adjacent angles. Adjacent means sitting next to each other. Acute means cut, right? Cut, so we can sharp and less than 90 degrees. So I'm looking at these two angles here, right? R and V and T. Those are two adjacent acute angles. So angle R and V and angle V and T. Next we have identify an angle supplementary, meaning 180 degrees to T and U. T and U, right? So the angle that's sitting next to it that adds up to 180 would be S and U. So it'd be angle S and U. Next we're going to find measures of two complementary angles. That adds up to 90 degrees if the difference in their measures is 18. So this one's a hard question, right? It's a little bit abstract. What we need to do for this one is we're going to let x, right, create a variable. Let x be measure of angle 1. Okay. So if x is the measure of angle 1, I'm going to go ahead and say measure angle 1 is equal to x, right? And that means if their difference, measure angle 1 and measure angle 2, if their difference is 18, then that means that my measure angle 2 is going to be equal to x plus 18, right? So if I take measure of angle 1 and I subtract the measure of angle 2, then it's going to equal to 18, right? So, okay, so then what am I going to do now? Now I'm going to say that they are, look at here, and it's going to say that they're complementary, means equals to 90. So I'm going to say 90 is equal to x plus 18, like so. And I'll combine like terms and subtract the 18 from both sides. So it's going to be 72 is equal to 2x. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 2. So it's going to be x is equal to 36 degrees, right? So this is the measure of angle 1. So I could say measure of angle 1 is equal to 36 degrees. And then I could plug in to find the measure of angle 2. So measure of angle 2 is equal to 36 plus 18. So it's going to equal to 54 degrees. Like so, right? So if we add them together, they're going to be equal to 90 degrees, so they're complementary. And if we subtract the two, then the difference is 18, right? So this is a correct answer. All right, let's go ahead and look at these perpendicular lines, right? We know that two lines, namely this one here, AC and BD, are perpendicular because of this little box here. That means that this quadrant is 90 degrees, right? Now, if you see a formation that looks like this, where one quadrant is 90 degrees and they're vertical lines, that means every quadrant is 90 degrees. Every quadrant is 90 degrees, okay? And we say perpendicular with this upside down T. So it's like line AC is perpendicular to line BD. All right, let's go ahead and look at our example over here. Find x so that DZ and ZP are perpendicular. This line is perpendicular to that line. What does that mean? That means they're telling us that this big angle out here is 90 degrees. DZP is 90 degrees, right? So what can we do? Well, we can say measure of angle 1, which is this expression, is going to be equal to, plus the measure of angle 2, this other angle, is going to be equal to 90 degrees, right? That's the equation that we can create. So it's going to be 9x plus 5 plus 3x plus 1 is equal to 90. All right, that's our equation. Great. Now we combine our like terms, so we get 12x plus 6 is equal to 90. Subtract the 6, so I get 12x is equal to 84. Divide by 12, and I get x is equal to 7. Yep, so we're trying to find x, and that's what we found. So I'm going to put a box around that.